JavaScript error right now from YouTube, but hopefully it'll be fine.
That is curious.
All right, so I have a little list of things to look at today, and it starts with this pull request. I think we did that some time ago. It's on the names, and that was backported to 3.14, right? And maybe it should be backported to, no wait, what? It was backported to 3.14, and then Miss Islington said it couldn't be backported, so I guess that's a message queue problem, and the bot got the message to backport it 2 times and failed the second time or something like that. So nothing to do here. Next up on the list is this thing, fix grammar description of for statement. I guess I marked it as an interesting thing for the stream, and then I got to it another day and did it off the stream. Oh well, so nothing to do here, but yeah, somebody came in and fixed the description of the for statement, which is great. Thank you, Yash, if you're seeing this. Of course, we'll get to the for statement later, much later.
That must have been from the sprints, I imagine.
Oh, probably, yeah. Alright, so now the open pull request is here, expanding the notation section. I asked Lissandros to review it last week, which of course is sprint week, and I guess people are just getting home from PyCon US, so probably best to let this sit until next week. And meanwhile, we can get to our lexical analysis of numbers. Hope it's not boring. So I want to see.
I think it's fascinating.
So to see where we're at, since I didn't push this anywhere yet, I hope, I'll rebase on main, and then I can do git diff origin main. So this is about the numbers, real numbers, and so on. And I think we finished that. But I also think there's something that could use another read through with fresh eyes. So we make that, and let's go here. So numeric literals, number tokens represent numeric literals, of which there are 3 types, for which we have the grammar. The numeric value is the same as if it were passed to as a string to the constructor. Not all valid inputs are also valid literals. They do not include the sign, and there are no complex literals. Right. There's no numbers. There's no length limit. I think we did this like 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it was 3 weeks. Oh, good. I have Discord on my big monitor now. Okay.
Ah. Oh, sorry, I didn't increase the font size, did I?
No. It's okay. It's all right. I have it. It's all working now.
So, numbers. Oh, this thing is blocking the pull request, right? So I guess we can open it as a draft.
Which is it? How is it blocked? Sorry.
Oh, this syntax isn't in the notation section yet. So it's blocked by this pull request. And I guess this section isn't really fleshed out yet, and need to finish that. Right, so imaginary literals are a floating point number followed by a j, right?
I've honestly never used an imaginary literal.
You can do 0j. So we have this, haven't explained this yet. So these are all nice little imaginary literals. Decimal point. an imaginary literal yields a complex number with a real part of 0. I guess that's still valid. Complex numbers are represented as a pair of floating point numbers. And this is kind of repeating what we set up, what we said here. But I guess that's fine, it's kind of far away.
Maybe I probably don't know enough about complex numbers, but maybe it's not obvious to me the relationship between a complex number with a non-zero real part.
Oh well,
I guess that's
complex numbers have
a math thing. Oh,
complex numbers have 2 parts.
2 parts. Oh, that's right.
This is the way to denote the second part. And the first part is just a floating point number. Well,
yes. Nope. Yes, I get it. That's probably super obvious to anybody who's used to working with complex numbers. I get it now.
Probably, but I don't think the docs should require you to know complex numbers. So thanks for being here. And let's try to make it more obvious.
So maybe we might say something like since something along the lines of since a complex number is the combination of a imaginary number with a real number, we create complex numbers, in Python, we create them by whatever, something like that.
Alright, okay. So I guess first let's see the existing documentation on complex numbers. If there is any such thing. Complex. So class complex. Convert a single string to create a complex number from real and imaginary parts.
Oh, I guess there it says it, from real and imaginary parts. Okay. And then down below it says both real and imaginary parts. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
This
so
talks
there
about
it says complex value. Complex value is a float value. Sign. Float value. Sign. Absolute float. So. Oh, I see. There it is. Yeah, float value, and then followed by a J.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, okay, sure. That's, I mean, I think that touches all of the points.
Oh, and it also says the complex type is described in numeric types int float complex. So is there anything More interesting about complex numbers here. Complex numbers have a real and imaginary part, which are each a floating point number.
Oh, okay. And so I guess the J then designates the float, which is the imaginary part.
Yeah. I guess this is the right section to point people to.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see if it has a name. Types numeric. Alright. I guess I want to repeat what it says here.
Yeah, just that. That should be fine.
Just that. Those complex numbers have a real and imaginary part, or each floating point number. Syntactically,
Well, it does say that the real part is a float. In other words,
this does, right? But then it gives an example, and this 3 is definitely not a floating point literal.
so I wonder if that's I mean, because we're talking about a type system here, right? So I wonder if that might not be a good example.
No, the docs are wrong. I mean, this floating point shouldn't be here.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it really is an int then. In other words,
Yeah, that should be
a real. Oh.
Just add a number to it, or
Yeah,
add
okay,
the
fine.
real part to it. Yeah.
Okay. Does the typing system actually treat that the real part as a float, or is there a special type called real?
No, in the typing system you have floats and integers. They're very separate.
Yes. Okay.
Right, so integers are exact, so you can do 10 to the whatever power.
Sure.
Just can't print it out then.
Oh my god. Okay, fair enough. I believe you. So in that example then, should we do 3.0? Should we write it as a float?
No. We should explain that you can just add any number to
Oh,
an imaginary
okay.
literal. So this int apparently is too large to convert to float. That makes sense. But yeah, you can do this. And the addition, that's what converts it to float.
Oh, wow.
Right, so this calls complex, which is the type, on like two numbers. So if you do complex, it'll take two numbers and make this one imaginary. Or you can just get the two numbers and make like use an imaginary literal on the second one. And of course, if you add them the other way, everything's working. If you add real numbers, that adds to the real part. If you add imaginary numbers, that adds to the second part. If you multiply by real numbers, well, that just multiplies both of them. If you multiply by imaginary numbers, weird things happen.
Sure, just like in real life.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful book on the history of the square root of -1 that I gave to a friend of mine, and he really enjoyed it.
So I guess we can move this section here. Or maybe let's do it like this. Complex numbers have a real and imaginary part. The real part is a floating point number. The imaginary, and I guess this can be a reference. Since you can start reading here, right?
The imaginary part.
maybe start with there are no complex literals.
Ooh, that's good.
Instead,
Nice to begin with a bold claim.
complex numbers can be written as adding together, as adding
The imaginary and oh, I see. Complex numbers, real and imaginary parts. Okay.
floating point number. For example, let's use this one. Some examples for complex numbers. I guess.
Yeah, I guess the part that I struggle with is with that example is that it's an integer, and we've just finished saying that, you know, and if
so let's be correct, but not precise here.
In other words, if the typing system accepts 3 plus 4j, then ooh, that's good. That's beautiful example. Wait, 42. Oh, okay.
I guess that's better for these examples.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that example though, because it's humorous and
So I guess one thing is that imaginary numbers are often written with an I.
Yeah, there's probably, I don't know why they use J, but there's probably some amusing historical thing there.
Well, yeah, I is a very common variable name. I guess that's...
Oh, of course, as an index. Oh, I see. So it makes it less ambiguous by using J. Okay.
And here notes, J is usually used in engineering contexts where I has other meanings.
Oh, that's a great reason to use J.
Yeah. Well, we're not really in an engineering context where we have electrical current, but yeah, I has meanings.
I suspect that a lot of engineers using Python. In other words, I suspect that.
Now,
you know,
I mean, the use I is much more common in normal usage.
Okay. Should we do a little Wikipedia, a link to the, as like a little note, or?
So let's.
Yeah, like yeah. Python denotes imaginary units with the letter J.
Yeah. this is getting.
I mean, we could probably leave it. We could probably just leave it as put a. We'd probably leave off the last clause, and just maybe put a link. Maybe link the imaginary unit to the Wikipedia page or something.
That we can do. I wouldn't want to link to the footnote on Wikipedia. That could change at any time.
No, not the yeah. Not the footnote, but yeah. In other words, that way people can see that we're referring to the thing called imaginary number, the unit called imaginary number.
Or imaginary unit.
Unit.
Does this have?
Yeah.
Does this even talk about J? Oh, right.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Let's do an example. The imaginary number 3 plus 4i case 4 can be written
Sorry, I didn't realise that we'd started early today, or rather that the time was wrong.
Yeah, sorry for that. I can't really...
Maybe the next time we should respect the, we'll just accommodate the announced time, because it's sad that Adam got here late, although honestly you didn't really miss a whole lot, because we're just now getting to the amusing part.
Yeah, we're always getting to the amusing part. I mean, it's okay to just drop in. I need to stop at the usual time anyway, so.
It may just be a summertime problem with the event schedule not updating properly or what have you. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The problem is I don't know how to ensure that it follows a specific calendar.
is it a misnomer for the subhead for this section to be imaginary literals? Because I think, was it Sergey was talking a while ago about the fact that we actually don't have imaginary literals at the moment, and like 0j is a complex type. It's just a complex type with no real part.
Oh,
I'm not sure if this is
so at the syntax level, we do have imaginary literals. Like the HJ is an imaginary literal.
Yeah.
We don't have complex literals.
But if you do type 8j, that's complex.
Yes, imaginary literals. Like if you eval.
Yeah.
An imaginary literal, you get back a complex number. Yes. But we don't have complex literals. This is not a literal. That's an expression.
Yeah. I suppose it's the. I'm maybe being too pedantic here. It's because we have imaginary literals at a token level, but we don't have them at a either type or AST level. Yes. Actually, I'm not sure about AST. Okay, ignore my point, sorry. I was distraction.
Actually, so I wonder if in our example we should actually do the eval statement and show how the interpreter like renders it out. You know, have like a little three chevrons. You know?
Oh, with the 3 chevrons? I mean,
yeah, like
all you get is the parentheses here, really.
Oh, I see. Eval. Okay, I'm thinking. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of. I see what you're saying. We're just getting the. Okay. Or maybe we should do a type. You know, I'm wondering if we should show basically like the interpreter breaking it down.
If you were to show an example, I think it would be more useful to show the token output of tokenize, rather than, because the eval statement just like the repr of as demonstrated, it's just the same. So I don't really think that has much value. Whereas perhaps demonstrating the token output might. I'm just not sure.
No, I totally agree. That's what I was trying to say.
I think that
show the structure, illustrate the structure.
I think the tokenizer might be too much at this point. But I guess for examples we can show like how affects the grammar. You can put spaces here, but you cannot put a space here.
Oh, I see. So you want to do an eval there and show an error message?
You could just do like comment syntax error, but
like we could do something like this. Then we say this is an expression composed of the integer literal 3, the operator plus, and the imaginary literal for j. And since these are 3 separate tokens, whitespace is allowed between them, like this.
At some point, the three of us might want to just have like a 30-second chat about template string doc or left or right.
Template strings. Is 30 seconds enough?
No, no, no. Just to figure out like you know, what we might be able to. The doc doesn't really exist, but we might be able to cobble something together that would be acceptable.
From what I'm aware of, Dave, Peck, and Lysandros are working on it. It's certainly planned.
Oh no, absolutely. So Dave and I. The reason I mentioned this is because I told Dave that I would bring it up with us.
Oh, you did?
They would very much like, yeah, they would very much like any help, because you know, it's one of those things where they accept responsibility for it, but they also you know, would be very grateful if you know.
Okay, do you have a good contact for Dave, or should we do this over
sure, absolutely.
GitHub
I'll put it in the
issues?
chat.
Yeah. Okay, so probably not today, but next week let's just drop this and go to T-strings. So could you ask them to share any work they already have?
Yeah, sure thing. That's totally cool. I'm satisfied with the 30 seconds.
Perhaps instead of must follow immediately, just may not be separated from.
And it's not a prefix. I always get those two mixed up.
is it being too pedantic to say the new on line 1111 the numeric part of the imaginary literal? Because in the previous paragraph we introduce the integer literal, and so although I think it's obvious from context, it may just be worth introducing the disambiguation of like we're returning to specifically talk about the imaginary literal here, instead of talking about how one constructs a complex number.
Yeah. How do you structure this? Maybe just use a float in the example here.
I mean, what you could do, although somewhat of an odd approach, is if you introduce a new subheading, complex literals, so immediately preceding imaginary literals, and you say complex literals, there are no complex literals, and so up to line 1100 would go in this like new complex literal section, and then from 1101 onwards would be imaginary. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of it, but because the problem I see with floating point is it's still numerics, so it doesn't get away with the fact that it's
I think this is okay actually. If we do the example with a floating point, like 3.1 plus 4i, we're fine. Then we can say that the numeric part of the imaginary literal has the same syntax as a floating point literal, and then say that the decimal point can be omitted.
Though I think the initial point that I raised hasn't been addressed in the 111111. The numeric part is still ambiguous, and we're now using a floating point, so it's actually both parts have floating point literal syntax, but
right.
I mean, maybe just say the numeric part of the integer literal, but
yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, the imaginary literal, not the integer, sorry.
And here I probably want to say that these are evaluated as floating point numbers.
question, because I don't have an interpreter in front of me, is the exponent syntax legal?
Yes.
If we're saying that the syntax is...
Yes, definitely.
Okay, yeah, fine, perfect. Yeah. You've already answered my question.
Right. Now I can get rid of these notes. It's already covered formally. There's just one definition. Oh, there's the capital J. So you can use a capital J. I don't think anybody does that. And all this talk about whitespace reminds me there's a problem with the previous pull request, because there is a big difference between the lexical and the syntactic definitions. Now the syntactic ones ignore whitespace. So we need to revisit that. But first, let's do this. Let's turn this into a grammar snippet. Image number is the right thing to use. I think this is already covered somewhere above. So is this good? I just wait for Sphinx to update the environment. Is there any way to see what Sphinx is doing? Pickling the environment.
It is strange that it's taking so long to pick, because pickling is just writing to disk. It's really nothing more than that. So it really shouldn't be taking that long.
Do you know where the pickle is?
It'll be in doctrees. And like every single file in there is a pickle. Some of them are, so environment.pickle is the cached environment class, and then all of the doctree files are pickles. Yeah.
So there's an environment pickle. That's a gigabyte. So yeah, it's just writing to
Oh,
disk,
that's
but it's writing quite a
no,
lot
but
of data.
that's ridiculously large. Like that indicates to me that something is wrong.
Should we debug that here?
I mean, for comparison, the environment pickle on my local disk is 8 megabytes. I have absolutely no idea how you've gotten to a gigabyte in size.
It happens to me quite often that I get these slowdowns, so I guess this is it.
Yeah, it should not be a gigabyte. I would expect tens of megabytes maximum.
Oh, it's error, of course. Oh, see annotations.
That's the the extension. Custom extension
I
in.
need to import.
So you basically need to exec conf.py in that scope, and then you need to load the pickle.
So that's doc conf.py, right?
Yeah.
Okay. By specific. Oh, I need to set the path, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. doc/tools/extensions. Embarrassing if I get this wrong.
No, I'm oops. Giant path now. Okay. How to?
So now you need to os dot you need to change directory to doc.
Okay. And now it's not doc.conf.py, of course. Tags is not defined.
You need to pass a locals object with tags as an empty set.
Wow. And you just know that
There's
off
a
the top
lot
of your head?
stuff.
Alright.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is just
And yeah, and now there's no doc anymore. Current document on module Sphinx environment.
That's interesting. So current document is a new type that we introduced in, I want to say, Sphinx 8.2.
And not in the virtual environment. That's...
Oh, you're not in a virtual environment.
So, doc venv bin Python, right? Now, I need to do os change directory. What else? Syspath. So tools extensions. Anything more? Yeah, current directory, I guess. Read the conf.py. And hopefully load the pickle. No, import the pickle. And there we go. Now it's loading and loading and loading.
It appears to have worked.
Okay.
He says, hopefully.
How do I look into this? Is there a way to dump this somehow?
Well, this is the thing. I have no idea where the data is. So if I had to guess, it will be either on the domains object or where else could it be? But basically, the design of Sphinx, for reasons lost to history, is everything effectively that could be shared between documents is cached onto the environment object, and then that is pickled and passed around. So there should be.
Wow, so if you do data dot parser, it just gives me a key error. What is no. Oh, there we go. So this is all tuples.
Things to check is, does the pickled doctree cache attribute contain anything?
It's items, not values. The pickled what?
So data dot underscore pickled underscore doctree underscore cache. Okay, that should be cleared on because that is effectively the entire data, and then likewise write underscore dot underscore, so underscore write underscore doc underscore doctree underscore cache.
That's cleared.
So that's empty. That's good. So why is pickled? Okay, I may try and investigate this. So can you do the sum of the lengths of the values of the doctree cache to try and get a sense of how much data is in that?
So that's a dictionary with one giant byte string as
Oh, is
context.
it just? Oh, that's actually not that long.
It's not.
Interesting.
Guess there's one thing we could also do as the do a hex dump of the environment pickle. Oh, that is really long. Ensure pip bootstrap. Ensure pip. Oh, is it pickling the virtual environment?
Surely not. But like all of that is ensure pip.
Yeah, this is library ensure pip bootstrap. Library ensure pip bootstrap. Repeating over and over and over.
But no, but that's library /ensure pip as in the module file, surely?
Well,
right?
that's in the
Because
pickle.
if it was a VM bit, it would be lib. If it was VM bit, it would be lib, right?
Right.
And it would be, and maybe what is Bootstrap in library? Import lib.bootstrap maybe? I don't know.
Oh, that's not the only thing that's being repeated. This looks like reference names, each repeated a lot of times.
Yeah, this is object names.
Object
Like
names.
well, as in like function definitions or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this isn't file names. This is directive. So something is the mysterious something is basically caching and never getting reset.
Right. So what could that be? Search index entries?
Possibly.
No.
Any of the underscore search attributes are just data containers. They're just dicts or whatever with various data within them. The main data is the one that I'm suspicious of. Oh, sorry, not both domain data and domains.
That didn't look very long.
No, not really.
Oh,
And
just
so,
one.
okay, and domains has been cleared. Yeah, that's good. That's what's meant to happen.
I mean, this is big, but probably doesn't have that many repeats.
No.
Just list the vars.
So that is a document tree. So if you scroll up before that, because it shouldn't be caching document trees, where we see the angle brackets start to come in, that's where the document tree starts.
Titles.
So titles, yeah, titles.
Deprecations pending removal in 3.16. Yeah, that's it. Is this titles a top level thing?
Yeah.
Is it nested?
No, it's top level.
Okay.
So the
So
question is, what if you try and pickle just data.titles to like a byte string? How long is that? No, not long enough. Oh, it's unfortunate. It's clear from the hex dump that there is very clearly something wrong. I really don't have any ideas as to where it might be, if I'm honest with you. And I can suggest just deleting everything and make clean or whatever, but it's that will not solve the root cause.
yeah, I've been having this problem for a while. And I wonder if anybody else has it.
I haven't noticed anybody complaining, which is not to say that they haven't.
I mean, I always just deleted the cache.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that the Sphinx community doesn't tend to complain about stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh, what settings? Settings looks.
Settings. And then there's the
That's
master
not what I
doctrine.
expected it to be. And how much is that? I can't.
Audit events.
Oh, so audit events is custom to cPython.
Huh.
So that's an interest. So if you go to audit events, I think actually you might have written this, although I rewrote.
Nope, not
So
me.
I'll take whatever blame.
It has events and sources. Okay.
Sources.
And sources is big. What is that? Is that a dict?
Oh well, those are ensure pip.bootstrap.
Ah, that's a dict.
But what is what is sources recording, and why is it recording so much? Those are the questions we ask ourselves. So,
well, I guess we go to the source right now. So it's a dict of stirless tuple stir.
oh, what it might be, which is very stupid, is so line 50.
Mm-hmm.
Is it appending infinitely to? Is it like resuming the list, whereas actually it should be a set? Does order matter here? Does it, if it's just appending many more things to? I mean, that's my guess. I actually don't know what's happening here.
Well, maybe we can also look at the
Like
generated documentation to see if anything's off there. There's audit events table.
Wow, I had no idea this stuff even existed.
Things you learn, right? Okay. Nothing seems off here. So let's see. Sources. I don't know. Ensure pip bootstrap. Yep, that looks repetitive. What is
Aha.
that?
Okay, yeah, so that's not great.
So that's a list of this many pairs. So, okay, so what is this doing? Yes, this is appending a source, and a source is a tuple. And instead of a list of sources, so this should be a set, right?
Yeah, that's my guess. Well, it should either be a set, or we should do a membership test before appending. I haven't yet checked if order matters for the sources. It may.
Okay.
But yeah, because so the way the environment works, the Sphinx environment works, is that everything is restored, like it's pickled and restored as a just a plain Python object. So this will never ever get, if you are going from the same environment, this will never ever get cleared. And no, I will very happily take blame for that, because I should have thought about it more when I extracted the extension.
Oh, I'm not trying to assign blame. I mean, this looks like exactly the kind of error I would make every day. All right. Do you want to take this? I'm not really sure what this code is doing, but I'll be happy to open a bug for you. So it's a documentation bug report. What kind of label? We have tooling label already. No. So where is this again? Audit events?
Yeah. So it's tools/extensions with doc/tools/extensions /audit events.py. In one sense, I'm pleased it's not a Sphinx bug.
And I wonder if anybody filed this already. No. Guess not. thank you for being here and for volunteering to fix this. That's been plaguing me for a while. Right.
No, don't worry. It's like that. The incremental build should really take no more than 5 seconds, especially if you're only changing one file. So for it to pause for what, it was about half a minute, that's far too long.
Yep. This always solves it. Alright, so that was a big chunk of time. But hopefully we're fine on the lexical analysis front. Oh, this deleted things. I don't think we want this. Because it doesn't need to be a floating point number. This colon okay here? There's the floating point is repeated too many times here. The number only has an integer part. The decimal point can be omitted. The number is still evaluated as a floating point number, not an integer. Okay, I guess this is it. And it's time to push it to my branch. Oh, I already pushed it. I rebased. I don't think there's a pull request pending from that, so I'll overwrite that. And since there already was a branch, I need to do the pull request manually. Like that. And this would be a similar format to the existing one. So what changed here? Basically oh dear, I put in the audit events change as well. Don't want that. Right, so basically each section is expanded to build up the understanding, or to build up the literal using examples. Request. Did not convert, mark it as a draft. Hello GitHub. Oh, it's a draft, good. And now this one needs to be marked as a draft because it's incorrect. Maybe we have enough time to fix that. Alright, so if you're still here, do you remember the introduction section with the notation?
Yeah, of course.
So this says there's some difference between lexical and syntactic analysis, but we ignore that difference here. But we should not ignore that here, because there is one big difference, and that's whitespace. So what we do here is actually we can leave it down here. but we say
on line 156 we mentioned whitespace.
yeah, but that's for the metagrammar. That's like for literally this
Right,
space here.
Okay.
The practical difference practical difference between the two is that white space is ignored.
And in this case, the practical difference is not a cPython implementation detail, right? In other words, it's going to be true to all
Yes.
implementation. Yes. Got it.
And we should bring back the wording from the current docs here. Where is that? Library reference, no. Language reference, notation. This one.
Is this? I'm unsure about the use of the word tokens. Actually, no, ignore me. I missed that we have a link to tokens on 189. No, because of that, I think it's fine. And perhaps it may be worth mentioning that it is the tokenizer that determines that packages up whitespace, and then means that all the remaining whitespace, sort of by definition, is syntactically unimportant. So,
right.
The thought I'm trying to express is all whitespace is important at some point, but after lexical analysis, we have proved that some whitespace doesn't meaningfully or at all change the meaning of the program.
Right.
And so we can just throw it away and it doesn't change. That's the thought I'm trying to express. I'm just doing it very badly.
No, it's actually not that easy to put in words, but I think it's already covered in chapter 2 for a bit. Because this talks more about tokenizing. So maybe we can say white space between tokens. Oh, right here. Refer to this
And
thing.
link to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in lexical definitions, white space is significant, while syntactic definitions
Yeah, to paraphrase George Orwell, all white space is equal, but some white space is more equal than others.
yeah, as long as it makes it into a token, it's important. Let's find it here. Blank lines, indentation, and white.
The problem is, I think someone would complain if we referenced Animal Farm in the documentation, although I do support it.
No, I'm totally, yeah, sorry, that was just for the benefit of the listeners on YouTube, you know, who might replay this.
Well,
but not for the box.
Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly good reference here. If it was, I'd definitely put it in. Anyway, I like these, like, reference headers, whatever you call them. If this was added today, it would be like Python grammar, lexical analysis, token, white space. But when this was first written, it was like one of the first pages of the docs. So just white space goes here. This is what Python has to say about white space.
Archaeology through the variable length of link targets.
Lexical definitions. This is quite minimal. I guess I also want to see take a look at the definitions here, because there aren't that many lexical definitions. And this has lexical definitions. lexical definitions, so I guess they're all marked as such. And I know that this is a grammar definition, although it's not really, but that's in strings. We'll take a stab at that later. This is lexical definitions. This is lexical definitions. This is lexical definition. Define the lexer yet? Or tokenizer?
One suggestion for wording is whitespace is significant for lexical definitions, but is not preserved in the tokens used for syntactical.
Right.
Or syntactic definitions, right? With that, it sort of it implies a pipeline.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Or sort of you could say redundant or meaningless is the wrong word.
Insignificant?
I guess in lexical definitions, all whitespace is significant. But the lexical analyzer
now, when we say significant, I think maybe in the spirit of Adam's comment, do we want to say the action? In other words, do we want to describe the behavior in the case of lexical versus the behavior in the case of syntactic? Because we're talking about what...
I think it's right to...
Go ahead.
So I was going to say, I think it is right to say that all whitespace is significant in lexical analysis, because it is. It's just that it's significant but may have no effect. Whereas by the time we get to tokens and syntactic analysis, we know what whitespace matters and and what we have preserved into a token. So, like for example, a non-logical new line or something like that. Or it isn't significant, and we have replaced it by an indent token or a dedent token, and we have discarded it. So it is the process of lexical analysis that discerns which whitespace is significant in the sense of modifies behaviour, but to the lexical analyzer itself, all whitespace is significant because we don't know that ahead of time. This is very, very difficult to write down in a succinct paragraph. I've been thinking about it for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. The lexical analyzer. Maybe something like the lexical analyzer only produces tokens from some whitespace and throws the rest away. Something like that.
The lexical analyzer does not produce whitespace tokens, but instead converts, maps, what have you, significant white space to its behavioral impact. Basically, we're trying to say the lexical analyzer is determining the significance and is then building a token from the fact it is significant. It isn't, unlike all other tokens, just using the content of the characters. So a division token represents the literal division sign, but an indent token could represent a tab character. It could represent 2, 4, or 8 space characters, etc.
Right.
It's the lexical analyzer discerns which whitespace is significant and uses that to produce the appropriate tokens. All of the whitespace is discarded.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, that was nice, that part.
The lexical analyzer uses whitespace to emit the appropriate tokens or to emit significant tokens. All of the whitespace is discarded. What I actually said will be on the recording because I can't remember it.
So lexical analyzer converts meaningful white space to tokens like this. Or maybe start with discarding. The lexical analyzer discards all white space that's not part of tokens like these. That work?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, start with like the general thing. White space is generally thrown away. Second of it.
Maybe the discard can be the link to the way that it's done.
Yeah.
I like this. We got somewhere useful after many minutes of trying.
Okay, I want to see this rendered. Oh, I switched branches, so this is an almost full rebuild.
That's a really nice distinction.
Yeah, and I guess that's like the only case where something is thrown away by the tokenizer. So the rest of the definitions work kind of as if these were all the same kind of syntactic rules. Oh, well.
You can add us as co-authors in case. Well, I guess it's on the recording.
Thank you for reminding me. So that's Blaze and Adam. All right. Which one was that? This one. So I should take it out of draft. And we're already out of time for today. So thank you for your attention. And
Good day.
next week, I guess we start on the F strings and T strings.